talk about those and explain those to you as they happen.
Looks like we're going to be starting up that ref system initialization, meaning we're about to be hopping straight into this match. Master versus Polytech.
3, 2, 1, game start. Here we go. McMaster versus Polytech, Polystar. It's going to be a nice slow start. This is what we're looking for. Even pacing. You can see both these teams getting to their reload zones at about the same time. They're not going to get Zerg rushed by some other team. Able to purchase, which is great. Polystar's got to get some projectiles here pretty quick. Oh, they went with loading their hero first. How unorthodox.
Definitely unorthodox, especially considering how a level 1 hero is a lot easier to deal with than a level 1 standard.
And now we've got the hero. There we go. The standard from McMaster starting to deal some significant damage to Polystar's sentry. While the hero of Polystar is chasing around the McMaster standard. There's 2 standards on McMaster. Excuse me.
We hop into the cockpit. You can see just how quickly that barrel heat builds up and what happens whenever it does overheat. Your screen gets really blurry. It's hard to see. And you have to make sure that you manage that correctly because you also take damage.
Both of these teams doing a really good job with power management and projectile speed management. This is like a very good robot match.
It definitely is.
What I mean by that is that the ref system isn't winning. It's not killing all the robots. The robots are killing robots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because especially whenever the ref system would take out a low-level robot in the early seconds and minutes of the match, and giving away that first blood to the other team means typically that level advantage ends up carrying for the rest of the match in all but just a few cases I think we've seen so far today.
Blue Hero 1 posturing really aggressively throughout the match, but not actually firing anything yet. Whereas the blue standard running around at less than a third health, probably not advisable. They have 3 blood bags. They should probably use one. This is the first time we've seen 2 teams sit in the buff area. 90% claimed by either team. Whoever steps in the buff next will grab it, and it will be the hero for Polystar grabbing the blood bags. They're going to need them. That standard has got to get back to the base to reheal.
Looks like Polytech's going to take a few shots with their hero at the standard of McMaster. Standard 4 down at the bottom. Now looking to do the same for standard 3 up top. Or looking to run away.
May not be able to fire, Matt. I don't think any projectiles have been launched.
You might be right on that, considering
I believe they purchased
150
5
and
then,
yeah. Oh, 1 went out the barrel. Intentionally or unintentionally, we'll see. To be determined. Not a ton going on besides a bit of strategic movement.
Chat, can we get some hype in the chat for our new teams? A nice, pretty even new team match here. It's going to give these young teams a great opportunity to flex their growing muscles and show these robots, demonstrate as they get first blood against the sentry. It's going to expose the base of Polystar.
McMaster doing way better than they did in their first round, or their first match.
Yeah, when
showing that they learn from their mistakes. They're able to compensate and overcome as they now just knocked out the standard 4 from Polytech.
And now they're lined up. They've got 130. Oh, sorry. They've got 100 projectiles left in the McMaster hopper. Let's see if they can finish off that base.
Both of those standards level 3 are forces to be reckoned with, as we've seen in the last few matches.
One minute left to go. McMaster car probably taking round 1. Hopefully Polystar is able to get their projectiles firing for round 2. They didn't spend any time in the field checking things, so maybe they just weren't aware of whatever issue was causing them not to be able to fire their projectiles, or perhaps it's just not fixable within a 2-minute window. But
no sense in being on camera trying to fix it if it's not a 2-minute fixable issue, just like you said. $30 left, not looking like it's going to be much of a redeemable game as Polytech takes more damage on their base. McMaster Standard 4 doing its work. spider legs in all its glory.
Yeah, chat was saying that McMaster won the game in the mental by having the spider standard.
Ah, well, it certainly looks interesting.
Intimidation tactic.
And that swerve drive is doing its job just like it needs to. I think it's going to be about a half health base left on Polytech as...
A really good game from McMaster. That was solid.
Yeah.
They were able to fire their projectiles the way they needed to. They were able to manage all of their ref system parameters. Great job.
Definitely different from the first showing, where I believe we only saw their red standard, or we saw the McMaster standard 4 being able to move around, the one with the spider legs, and the other one was a bit more stationary as it wasn't able to leave the base. But this time, it was able to do everything it needed to do.
Yeah, pretty low accuracy, but really for one of our newer teams, a pretty good showing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it does for me now.
Well,
I
sure.
talk about combat robots a lot more than I would ever think. So. All right, initializing and back in with 3, 2, 1. Match start. All right, Polystar off to a much speedier race to the reload zone. Hopefully going to be able to fire some projectiles from standard 4. They've got 100 projectiles loaded up.
Well, at least all the robots are moving. I mean, I guess besides Polytech Sentry, which is not supposed to be moving, so that's good.
It's going to be a standard 3 from the side of McMaster car, and Polystar standard 4 almost saw each other around the wall and then went different directions. Doing a little bit of peeking. Couple testing shots coming out from McMaster. We'll see if Polystar is able to return those.
Ooh, looks like it's going to be a little bit of collision. You know, every time I always say I do anything about a robotics competition, they always ask if it's BattleBots. And this is not BattleBots, so make sure that you're not making contact with other robots, because as we saw with UCSD earlier, knocking that bumper off was a little bit of a fix that was not exactly quick.
All right, so it does not appear so far that the Polystar standard is able to fire, which just means this match is probably going to go over the way of McMaster. The hero has 2 projectiles left, Matt. I wasn't watching closely. Is the hero from Polystar able to fire? Now has 7. That's not a number you can buy. You buy them in multiples of 5, I believe.
Well, it doesn't matter if it has ammo in the hopper or not, because it looks like that standard is going to knock it out, bringing both the standards on McMaster up to level 3, meaning that they're probably going to make quick work of the Sentry whenever they go back and buy some more projectiles.
All right, McMaster doing a good job this round. They did a good job last round. They're able to keep both robots down. Their Spider standard doesn't have any ammunition. It's driving pretty well. It's got one little wonky swivel wheel right now, kind of like the grocery carts. There we go.
Well, those swerve drives are pretty hard to make sure that they maintain, but it looks like it's going
Pretty
relatively
good.
well. Straightaway is a little bit different, but it looks like the standard 3 is able to cover.
Yeah.
Sentry health is going to go down very, very quick as the level 3 standards from McMaster make very quick work of it.
Matt, I am the 1v1 teams, I hope, are taking note. The standard from McMaster trying its best in the 3v3 and going to do really good here against Polystar, right? But the rest of its group is going to be a bit of a challenge. But in 1v1, I expect the standard to do pretty decently. This is a pretty mid-tier standard for NA, which is pretty good. Our region's becoming quite good overall.
Yeah. And as you can see, it is pretty hard to aim through these cameras, especially whenever you're moving around and shooting, because those green projectiles kind of just get lost in the haze whenever your motion blur is kind of up a little bit just from the inherent camera latency. And so trying to make sure that you're actually able to accurately see where those projectiles are going. Looks like they're just trying to get a little bit more practice in shooting the standard that was, or the Sentry that was already knocked out.
Master has also acquired the blood bags from the center buff point, and they're going to be able to sit here and just chip away through the Polystar health here.
Not seeming like they're going to need them if the ammunition does not drop. Oh, no, it's able to be firing a little bit. Polytech has 140, 135 now. They're able to kick something out of their barrel.
I wonder if...
Whether or not it's accurately going towards the target is yet to be seen.
Yeah. And their heroes lining up. See if it can land any shots on this sentry. As you mentioned, Polystar seems to have landed one standard shot onto the sentry McMaster.
Looking like McMaster is going to be using this a bit more as a practice round, as they're just trying to make sure that they can engage robots correctly and even hit them while they're spinning. But even as we see these young teams all have spin-to-win technologies built into their robots, which is very promising to see. 24 seconds left as the Polystar base is taking a bit more damage, as McMaster now has to go. I don't think they need to be at least purchasing any more of the projectiles. They might have to refill their physical amount that they have, but we'll see about that. We have 8 seconds ticking down on the clock. Doesn't look like much more is going to happen. That base is certainly not falling to 2 standards, but any damage at all is enough to very securely make that win possible.
Here we go. A nice round of applause from the crowd for McMaster and Polystar, two of our younger teams in the crowd. I mean, in the region, doing pretty good. Look at that. More damage on both sides, I think, this time, or at least on the side of Polystar, like 80 damage. We got 1355 from McMaster. Not bad.
Certainly not bad, especially for these younger teams, like you're saying. I mean, they think this is both of their teams.